Fragrant Flower 12. Birthday success. Things went over well. Everybody's happy. Where do we go now? To the beach is where they end off the last episode. Some summer fun and activities between the characters. Don't really got much more to say outside of that. I'm super excited to to see where this goes. I'm hoping for some slight mentions towards the cake or just other things regarding her birthday with the rest of them around in the group, and we get to experience and see the sort of reactions and things along the lines there. And I'm curious how they handle it too. The show's been so not fan servicey in any sort of way. Not to say that you can't do beaches and you can't just have normal hangout friend time without doing that, right? Like you can frame it in ways that aren't like overly lingering shots, and just because you see somebody in a certain sort of environment or outfit doesn't mean it's fan service. You know what I mean? Like that, it depends on how these things are kind of approached and done. And I'm interested to see how they do that with this series in specific, because everything's been so against that. We're not going to just call it that because it's the outfits and things that people wear at a specific location, right? You're removing an entire section or area that they could go to at any point within the story just because you want to chalk it down to one thing. Like that's not what we want to do. So I'm interested just how they approach it, because there have been so many shows that do a really good job at this, and so many that are very intentional with what they do too. And I'm interested what the series does, and we can play it in a different way too, right? You can have this day, it can rain, things could not go well, people could just literally be fully clothed and not care whether either. I don't know. There's a variety of ways that this could be approached. So I'm interested what their decision ends up being. More so even for Subaru. I think that's who I'm curious about, because she is so reserved and so like, I don't know, like Wagari I feel like is just going to be excited to be there and do whatever, but Subaru might be a little bit more shy towards the situation. So especially with others being around, because of course she's going to probably be coming. So I'm interested how she feels and handles this. I think more so. We'll see where it goes. Check out the Patreon for early access and timers. If you like this at all, the link and subscribe. And lastly, feel free to stick around for my discussion. Limited comments was there series ago with the 11th or 12th episode of Fragrant Flower. We made it. Yeah, probably. Same reason or something different? So this was, I think, all what they were all wearing in that part in the OP. We'll see when it plays, though. Lingering towards her, so we are going to get some focus there. That's where I thought this would head. I actually really like this song. It was okay at first for me, but I've come around to it a lot. Yeah, they are all wearing the same thing. They spoiled a group outing from the beginning. They're gonna be like that at every shop. How inclusive. You can see from there. Clutching, guarded. That's awesome. All right. I'll catch your eye. Aw. Always gotta ruin the moment, man.
買わねえの？
本当は食べたいんでしょ？
え？
はしゃいでた宇佐美に呆れてた手前、言い出せないだけで。
へえ。ほーん。
素直になればいいのにね。
そうだよ。誰もからかわないって。
いるんだよ。今ここに。
Yeah.
夏沢くん、ドーナツ好きだったんだね。
Yeah, look how excited they all get.
美味しいもんね。
ねえ、さくちゃん。その目やめて。
あ、そういえばスバルもドーナツ好きだった。
There you go.
まあ、
買うか？
大丈夫よ。ありがとう。
そっか。
美味しそう。
Hmm. All the moments they keep stopping, looking, being inclusive, trying to get her in. Cool. I really like that. On the outside again. You know that person who just likes watching and making sure others are having the fun though?
みんなが楽しそうにしているのを見るのが好き。
Mm.
だけど見るたびに、彼らが話しかけてくれるたびに思ってしまう。私、みんなの空気を壊していない。
Right, would they have to stop and constantly check up and look for me if I wasn't here?
私はここにいてもいいの？
The crazy thing is there's not one person thinking it's a bad thing for you to be here. Like it doesn't go through a single person's mind but yours.
先行ってて大丈夫だよ。
分かった。
はいはい。
みんな楽しそうだね。
The splash of water. Just starts doing it.
スバル、悩んでること教えて。
Wow.
すなぎくん、宇佐美くん、よりたくん、夏沢くん、みんなにお願いがあるの。私、今日のことすごく楽しみにしていたの。こんなことをあなたたちに言うのも本当に申し訳ないと思うけれど、本当は昔から男の人が苦手なの。
ごめんな。今まで無理に付き合わせて。違う。
そうじゃない。そうじゃないの。小さい頃いろいろあって、男の人が苦手になってからずっと深く関わらないように生きてきたの。でもあなたたちと過ごすようになって、あなたたちが私の中の価値観をどんどん壊していってくれて。
It's still there. Right. Even if I'm not looking like it. Even if it doesn't seem that way.
なんて思った？みんな笑って楽しそうで。
That could be you.
みんな
Yeah,
と笑いたい。
that could be you.
ちゃんと彼らと向き合いたい。いつか友達になれたらと言ったけれど、でもやっぱり私、あなたたちと今友達になりたい。
This is how we start. This is how we do it.
そうごめんなさい。
No, 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 no.
俺は大して仲良くない人なんかと一緒に勉強したり、こんなとこまで遊びに来たりしないんだけど。
Hey, you think I'd hold my tongue this long about you being here?
あのさ、
なんだよ。
ごめん。もっとわかりやすく言ってもらっていいか？
Okay.
だからもう友達だと思ってるって言ってんの。
それくらい分かってよ。
あ
It's different for her though. She doesn't get the
とっくに友達だ
thank
と
you
思
for
ってた
telling
わ
her.
言いづらいことを正直に話してくれてありがとう。
Mhm.
謝らなくてもよかったのに。
Mhm.
前に俺のことを律儀だって言ってたけど、星名さんもよっぽどだよ。今日ずっと俺たちの後ろばっか歩いてたじゃん。早くこっちおいでよ。
The water effects are so good.
スバル行こ
大丈夫。
Try and push someone to encourage someone to fall flat.
星名さん
Hey, it was still a step.
う。なんでもないわ。なんでもないの。ありがとう。
And now we can have some fun. Gotta go get that donut. Oh, did he buy some? I swear to God. The ones I was looking at. The nonchalant king. What are you doing? Hmm. That felt like a whole damn episode. We still got 8 minutes.
す
早くね
げえ。まあこんな。
It's usually what happens. You spend a lot of money and it does a whole lot of nothing.
よし追加で買いに行くか
今から
You buying?
だって一瞬で終わっちまったんだもん
Right.
物足りねえだろ
一気に。
Need to go bigger, longer.
私もまだやりたいわ。花火。
だよな星名さん行こうぜ買い出し
じゃあついでに飲み物買いたい。
なら僕も行く。
Oh, well. Look what we're doing here.
じゃあ荷物見ててな
What an opportunity.
おう、わかった。
You conveniently all have to go to the bathroom at the
一
same
気に
time.
静かになったな。
The stairs and everything just reminds me of the beach from the Funny Girl series. They all might look like that though. I don't know.
残ってるの全部やっちゃっていいと思う。
いいんじゃない？
They're getting more.
あんまり興味なさそうだし。
Yeah.
そっか。綺麗なんだけどな。スバルのことありがとう。みんなが私と同じようにスバルのことを大切に思ってくれていて嬉しかった。
いや、正直俺ももう友達だと思ってたし。それより言いづらかったはずなのに、星名さんが俺らに受け入れてくれたことの方が驚いたっていうか。
私も前のスバルからは想像もつかなかったかも。最近は雰囲気が柔らかくなって笑うことも前より増えた気がするんだ。凛太郎くんのおかげだね。
俺は別に何も。
It's you too, though.
凛太郎くんと話してからだもん。スバルが変わったの。凛太郎くんはすごいね。
Hmm.
ありがとう。落ちちゃった。新しいのつけよっか。
俺が何かを諦めたくないと思えたのも、周りを見れるようになったのも、全部あの日からなんだ。 昔の自分に言っても信じてもらえないと思うくらい自分が変われたのは
The things single people can be responsible for.
お礼を言わなきゃいけないのは俺の方だよ。ワグリさんのおかげで俺はいろんなことに向き合おうと思えたから。だからありがとう。
そんな
That's a lot right now.
こちらこそ。
ワグリさんと過ごす時間が増えていって、その時間が楽しくて自分の中で大切になっていった。一緒にいるこの時間が終わってしまうのが寂しい。
Well, we can fix that.
終わってほしくねえな。
Mhm.
ごめん、今のは。
じゃあ次はどこ行こっか。
Reignited.
だって夏休み始まったばかりだよ。
We got all this time.
夏祭りもあるよ。会う楽しみを増やせばいいよ。そうすればずっと楽しいと思うよ。
And it's not even these specific things that she's thinking or saying. It's just the idea of
好きです。
creating.
ごめん。
You said what? You what? You hold on. I thought that was in his head.
まあいいや。
This is gonna be an awkward rap.
使ってきたんだ。ほらほら、向こうでやろうぜ。
Huh.
これ絶対面白いからさ。早く行こうぜ。
自分で歩
Yeah, I'm with you. What the fuck?
そうだね。
カオルコ、
Sweating her ass out right now.
私たちも行かない？行こっか。
Great use of the ED too. Great way to break tradition of final episode too. What the fuck is wrong with me?
なんてことしちまったんだ俺。
Hey man, hey, that was great. That was great.
困ってたよな。なんか一方的に言って終わっちまったし。
Next time he talks, gonna be interested.
完全に無意識だった。
Straight from the heart, brother.
なんであの時あの言葉が出たのか自分でもわからないし。
You know why you said it.
ワグリさんが俺の言ったことに対してどう思ったのかもわからないけど、どこかすっきりした自分がいる。そんな俺の自分勝手で迷惑かけておいて、このままにするわけにはいかねえよな。
カオルコ、
You gonna tell her?
何？ごめん、家族からかも。
Uh-oh. I like this. I like this out of him. I like it. What an episode. What a way to close that out. I love jumping to it prior to the final. I absolutely adore that because it's so typical for you to save it to that last moment. It's so typical for you to have that moment at a festival or have it somewhere, a location that's important or just significant in a sort of way. And to drop it there and end you off and then be like, we're never going to give you a second season. You're telling you to go bring the manga and see where things go, right? That's so typical. So to just drop it before it, even though you could transition this even like directly in, especially with the way that it closes out to the finale, it does it. It does it. And I love that. I think that's great. I think more shows need to capitalize on taking advantage of not ending seasons on high notes like that. I understand it's going to be an unpopular opinion to do it like that, but I truly think that if you let the series progress and let people let their kind of feelings out and let things naturally flow in a way, that things can peak and occur at specific moments that don't have to wrap everything up perfectly towards the end of something or leave you on an extremely high note, that it allows the show to feel so much more unpredictable of you not knowing the direction and the place that it's going. So many times with a lot of these, especially romance shows, it feels so uniform with how we do this. I don't love that. And I think that being able to throw this in throws me off guard, right? Because I was anticipating this next time. not right now. So getting that works so much better. It makes me so much more excited for the way that they plan to kind of tie this up a little bit, and as well have the characters confront each other over it. I think that's fantastic. So I'm thrilled. I'm super excited for where we're going to go there. That last leg, the entirety of the isolation and allowing the two of them to be just together was great. The visuals, the overall scenery that they were in was fantastic. Cloverworks continues to have these like really awesome sequences at beaches, especially in regards to the water, that I think a lot of other studios don't typically do very well or as well. And it's something that they've slowly seems like the beginning to just nail as a studio as a whole. I always think back to the first season of Dress Up Darling, and the beach scene that they had was visually one of the best things that I've ever seen from Cloverworks. I thought it was just fantastic. And we even get something similar here, and especially in an entire different environment, getting it at 3 different stages of the day. I think made it so much more enjoyable to for us to see all these different environments. It's nice to get them in different lighting and allowing things to kind of shine and set the environment so much stronger, set the tone for what you're going to be getting into so much. I really loved it. I think that especially that back portion was so strong. The decision to cut out music, utilize the sounds of the water, utilize just whatever surrounding environment that they had and the noise piped in from there, and leave all of that directly to the two characters talking, to then finally bring back music like 7 minutes later. Feel like here's your ED in the background of the characters being like, what the fuck just happened? And getting interrupted by that is a great decision. I absolutely adore that. I think it was so excellently done. It goes back to an earlier point that I made one of the beginning episodes of this, of my questions of, you know, what makes this series special or stand out in comparison to other things. And my reason at the time, and something that I wanted to see how that evolves as we progress throughout, was execution feels really strong so far. It seems like they have a strong directional vision, as well as from the perspective of the author themselves, of where they wanted to go with the story and how they wanted to kind of wrap everything up really nice. And I think that they've continuously done that. They've nailed each beat the way that it needs to. All the episodes that feel like they have a significant highlight on a specific character or a moment feel like they either have a production moment or have like a big explosive visual moment that you're able to see. Especially with Wagari and all the moments that we get of her, you know, bright smile and the lighting that they utilize and the colors that they choose to highlight her with when they do those. Like, these are all strong, impactful moments that they clearly seem to be aware of, that like in a series, and I know this isn't, but like in a series like a typical like shoujo manga that you would get, right? You would have the exact same set piece almost every time. Everything would just go like, you'd lose all the color, and then you'd have like watercolors kind of like flow in or surround them with the characters. Like, you would do a specific thing like over and over that I've seen so many of these series do. It's something that's used to visualize those big significant sort of moments, and we get that just in a different sort of light with this one. And I really enjoyed that. I think that they've nailed all of those, and some of those in those other series feel so flat because they utilize and do them the exact same way. Whereas here we've gotten them in slightly different tones, which I think are really cool. And they've nailed it every single time. They've really come into their own, you know. Cloverworks really has, over the years, they've been hit or miss with production. And I talked about this, I think, in every Cloverworks show that we have, but some of the earlier shows and other ones that they do, like they miss at a certain elements of production, right? We had things like the Rascal Does Not Dream Of series, as well as Horimiya, where visually they just don't do it for me in any way. I love Rascal Does Not Dream Of. I think it's a great series, especially from a writing perspective. I just visually, neither of those two did that for me. And then as they've continued to develop, and especially really found a strong suit, in my opinion. And I haven't watched things like Elusive Samurai, so I'm not sure like how they nail when it comes to like action in those. But they really came into theirs when they did like a Kevi Sailor uniform, and then they started to go into like My Dress Up Darling. They really began to nail a lot of these slice of life and more romance focused shows. And I think that that's been super good. They found like a strong suit that only they almost feel capable of, and they are like one of the ones that I would want to personally be like, yeah, let's let them animate this manga that I'm really into, because I think that they would nail it completely. I guess that's not true. I watched Windbreaker, and they did a really strong job with that too. So maybe I have seen some stuff that they do a little action in, and they've had some highlight moments when it comes to Spy Family, but that's mixed with was it A1? A1? No, Wit. It's mixed with them. So there's like I don't know what's going on and who to almost give most praise for, and the decisions that are made there. So we'll leave that to be separate. So I guess I have seen a handful of things that they've done in different sort of genres, but I like when they've tackled this instead. I think that this is really something that they can shine in and really stand themselves out and visually make a lot of their shows separate. To the beach we go. They do exactly like I was anticipating too. I was curious where they went in regards to either sexualization or just fan service-y or whatever they choose in terms of like choosing outfits for what these characters would wear when we get here. And they go the other route that I was thinking was a possibility of, how about we just let them enjoy the time at the beach but keep all the clothing and everything on, right? Like let's not go too far with this. It's an environment thing that I'm not going to remove entirely from my arsenal of what I can write with and write at, but we could still make it fun and do it in a slightly different way. And it works to also push the story of what we're trying to do with Subaru and not force her into being like beyond uncomfortable, because literally she would have. Now, do I think Wagari would have probably stayed, covered up and stood by her side knowing the type of way that Subaru would probably feel? I do think so. But I still think that's a great decision for her to make. And then all the other guys still just kind of falling in line and just wanted to mess around and just get their feet wet a little bit, and I think that's good. So we don't need to frame anything in like specific ways to get like super creative and not showcase what's going on, but instead they did a really strong job at highlighting, like just focusing on feet or like lower half of legs and showcasing body movement, the ability to take steps back, struggle to move forward, wait there and have things kind of come to you in terms of the waves and everything moving in and out. I thought it was really cool. And for something, like I said before, that they nailed with the water looking so strong, being able to actually do that as something that's like right in front of you the entire episode because it's so much in focus was really cool too. I love all the characters constantly just getting excited about different foods and things, having specifics that they get excited for, and we get to constantly see the different intentional shots of Subaru standing back, holding on to herself, keeping herself guarded a little bit. These are moments to reference of like, she's not as comfortable as she can be. She's struggling here in the environment, especially when we get it later. I think we get one with all the characters together a little later too, and she's directly standing behind them, and they're clearly framing it so that you can see how far she's falling behind. Wagari's doing great too, paying attention and noticing what's going on, right? She's too afraid and not going to be able to directly walk up to and ask for this or look at the things she wants. Maybe it's just because that's how she is, but also when it comes to like being around all these other guys and getting a little closer, it's probably a little bit more difficult still for her. So we have to actually have her help out. And I think that's great that everybody else is taking their opportunities to be observant, notice what's going on, and try and be inclusive of her. It's something that she worries about, am I just kind of being a burden? They're paying attention and doing all of this, but it's like, if I wasn't here, things would be better. They wouldn't have to worry about that. Like, these are thoughts that go through almost nobody's mind. Have you ever been in an environment or been with somebody or whatever where clearly you could tell they're uncomfortable or being where they are, and then you're thinking the whole time like, God, I wish they weren't here? Like, that never happens. I just don't think that happens, especially when people view you as friends and all this. She doesn't know that, right? That's not what she knows. And we get that later when Sagu's like, I thought we were friends. Like, I thought we already established this. I wouldn't be around you if I didn't like you. Like, I thought that's kind of the way this goes. For somebody who spent her whole life not really being great at making friends and being close to those people, it's not easy for her to at least understand when these relationships sort of form, what the label is that you're going to be able to put on it. There's barriers that she's never really crossed and doesn't really mentally know how to kind of like get over or move through on her own. Looking at the donuts, clearly wanting one, but too afraid to actually go out of his way and say something. Can't speak his mind. Look at her. This is what I mean. They frame her to be so far behind. She walks by. She's ashamed. She takes up an interest in them. They do sound good, right? But once again, can't bring that up. But look who took notice of that, right? Saku's done a great job at doing that. And he has so much similarities in a way to her, which I think I pointed out in one of the earlier episodes. They're very similar, largely different at the same time, but very similar too, which is really cool, especially how much he's kind of paying attention and noticing what's going on here with her. and being able to take advantage of that and be able to get something and pass it off to her. I'll step into the water. Look how much fun everybody's having. She lets out a little smile before she decides, just ruining the mood, aren't I? Is it okay for me to be here? It's just, yes, it is. That's all we need, And like, to relate it to even me in this situation, right? Have you guys, I mean, maybe you haven't, but this is kind of what I go through. Sometimes I'll like hit up somebody and I'll be like, oh, me and, whoever else are going out, whether we're going to do something or we're going to go out to eat or whatever happens, right? And I'm just extending invites, seeing who wants to come. And somebody's like, oh, I can't, or oh, I'm not really, in the mood, or I'm not really hungry, I'm not whatever. I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm not asking you to come to participate and do all that. I'm just asking you to be there. Like, I kind of just want you here, It doesn't really matter if you're involved in the way that you think. Like, your presence of you being here is kind of enough. We're not really thinking about what you're adding to this, or, worrying about too much that we're paying and focusing too much on you, right? Or more so, we just kind of want you there, which I think there's nothing wrong with that. I love that she immediately recognizes that, though. What's going on? What's wrong? Here we go, showing her support, holding her hand all the way through until she finally feels she can break free and open up directly to them, which is great. Tell us a little bit about what she's been kind of going through and trying to work through on her own, the struggle that she's been having. Which is also great too, because now it opens that up, that even if she doesn't do this next part where she pushes forward and she's like, I want to start being friends, or I want to do this, or like look at you guys in that sort of way, the idea that she's able to open up and express this to them allows for her to openly take that next step, that thing that she's worried about at the end. Like, am I actually taking these steps that I am? Yeah, you expose something about yourself that has been something that you've probably guarded for a long time, and select few people really either recognize or know that. That's a huge step for you to be able to take and move forward, but it also puts it into their mind to be a little mindful and maybe a little bit more careful with how they kind of approach things around you, to let them know, like, we're not going to treat you entirely different because you're still a friend and we care and we want you to be around. But at the same time, if you are showing signs of being hesitant, we're going to be welcoming and make sure that you are more than we even are now. Make sure that you are comfortable with where you are. We're going to check up on you. Like, these are just things that it's a big step for her to be able to take. So then, of course, being able to actually put that out there and be like, I'm trying. Can we be friends? It's a huge thing for her to do too. We're all having fun. She wants to be up front with them. I've tried, but I would like to be friends with you now. And I like this too, the sign of just splashing her. Oh, my bad, I'm sorry. No, it's not even about that. One, I'm not hanging around people I don't mess with. Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't be openly like accepting you to be here. And at the same time, if you do want to be friends, this is what we do. We mess around. I'm going to cut you off when we do this. I'm going to splash you a little bit. I'm going to get you involved, even if you don't want to, right? What did we just have before when they all walked down and, was it Saku? I think was like, I don't want you to splash me. I don't want to get like what? I don't want to do this. And as soon as he gets down there, somebody's like doing that to him. Like, that's what they do. That's part of it's part of how this works, It's our dynamic. That's how we're gonna approach this. Nothing for you to apologize for. Come on over already. Give her that little push that she needs. Visually, once again, we show her taking that next step. Unfortunately, she falls. She stumbles right at the starting line, right? But she did move forward. She's in the water now. She's farther than she was before. She crossed that line of sand and water. And everybody's supportive and here for her as we can take on and view this together. Not something that you're taking on from behind and viewing, but instead you're included here. Or just being observant, noticing what's going on. Here you go. Get the donut that you've been looking for. What a guy. Can't believe how light it feels to actually take those steps forward, right? And then this whole sequence is so great. Nice way for them to get everybody split up and give them some more time alone. Chopping of music's fantastic. The highlights on her are great. I love the water in the background, especially the other pans that we get to the larger scale of where we are too. And keeping them framed like halfway towards the bottom too. And then the constant, the spark going out. Let's start over again. The spark's going out. I'm getting worried about it. Where can we go? Reignites. Here's these ideas of what we can do. Being with you is also like that too. and then being able to pass it back and forth. I'm appreciative of these things you're doing for my friend. Wagari not taking on any sort of credit. She's fully or partially at least responsible for Subaru taking these steps that she is as well, but Rintoru definitely has a hand in that, so being able to extend that is super nice. To him then being like, why are we even worried about that? Let's start from the beginning. We wouldn't even be in this situation if it wasn't for the things you've done for me, you know? And him recognizing how much that means for him and what that's done so far, wishing that it could never end, and dropping some confessional words to her. Just leaving her in a what the fuck did you just say? Friggin' the ED, it's great. Interrupt this. And then they just can't talk the whole rest of the way, right? Feels like a huge load is off my chest. And I just can't leave things hanging. Right? Selfish. I dropped my own desires, my own feelings onto you. I didn't even give you a chance basically to speak or say anything onto it, whether you want to return that or not, or the acknowledgement of it. Also, potentially apologizing. That might be also what he does for just blurting it out, even though he does feel that sort of way. And I like how he jumps right to it and decides, all right, let me call her instead. No, misunderstandings, no staying apart. We're gonna get right to it, which I think is great. More fun summer activities to come and to close us out on season 1. I'm gonna go check that out now. Festival? It is. Don't skip that conversation though. We got things to do. Just means something to me, man. You would hope so. Don't get expectations too high, buddy. You are in a romance anime though, so maybe do. Don't not answer. I know she was panicking looking at it. Sorry about that. No. Putting her on the spot, sure. A big step. Is that what the festival's gonna be? We're going no contact till then? Yeah. Uh-oh. We're gonna make it a big moment. Awesome. I love we don't follow no things either where he has to be the one who asks or anything like that. Both can be out there. What else did you think she was gonna ask? Come on, you should know her by now. She's looking forward to this. Screw your feelings. We got food to eat. You can get it. You're good. Yuck. You'd go broke if you were with her, you know? Because you'd want to get her everything. At least I would, you know? Her appetite's too much. I couldn't keep up. You're shooting that rabbit. Good job being thoughtful, my friend. Yeah, we avoided the subject.
好きです。好きです。
I'm glad he's able to say it like that, though, you know?
ただ、和栗さんの笑顔が見られるだけで十分だって。あの花火の時、和栗さんとの時間が終わってしまうのがすごく寂しくなって。世の中の付き合ってる人たちはみんなこういう気持ちだったのかって分かったら、
Started realizing what I was
思わず
needing.
言葉がこぼれて、すごくわがままで欲張りなことを言ってるって分かってるんだ。今のままじゃダメなんだ。付き合うということが勇気や元気をくれる。
That opens the door out here.
たくさん一緒にいられるためのものだとしたら、俺はそうなりたい。
What a speech, my friend.
和栗さんともっと一緒にいたい。俺と付き合ってください。
No dancing around it, no things like that with the labels, just straightforward.
ごめん、こんな困らせるようなことは。本当にこれは俺のわがままなんだ。でも
わがままじゃないよ、凛太郎くん。初めて会った日のこと覚えてる？
うん。うちの店に和栗さんがいて。
Yeah, I think there was something before
多
that,
分
though.
凛太郎くんが思い出してる日と
First time you met me,
私が思い出してる日は違うと思う。
she'd been
本
lurking.
当はあの日より
Oh,
前に
okay.
話したことあるんだよ。私はその日あなたに救われたの。
You fucking excuse me?
救われた。
って言っても私がケーキ屋さんに通うようになったのも凛太郎くんがきっかけなんだけど、
Yeah, we recognize that part.
早く帰らなきゃって思ってた時にあのケーキ屋さんの前をたまたま通りかかったの。
Couldn't pass it up.
その頃いろいろ辛いことが多くて、大好きなケーキを見てもあまり食べたいなって思えなくて、だけどお店から感じる温かい雰囲気に惹かれてついお店に入っちゃって。
This was still through her trying to get into the school and everything, I'm assuming.
のが凛太郎くんだったの。それでケーキを注文して一口食べたらその味があまりに温かくて美味しいって思えたのも久しぶりで、思わずその場で泣いちゃったんだ。そんな私を凛太郎くんが励ましてくれたんだ。
Hmm. You don't remember any of this?
覚えてないでしょ。
We got cameras in this this picture. Can we pull up some footage?
思い出さなくてその方が私は嬉しい。今になって改めて思うんだ。きっとあなたはあの時いたのが誰であっても
Right, you would have done
同
that.
じことをするんだろうなって。
And it reaffirms her own thoughts and feelings for him that she was stating in the first episode with meeting the other people.
あなたにとっては当たり前のその優しさが私には特別で苦しくなるほど嬉しかった。私たちは学校とは関係ない場所で出会って勇気や元気をくれたそんなあなたに私は恋をしたの。そこに行くときはいつもより丁寧にメイクをして
We noticed. We noticed. We saw the outfits. We saw the hair. Trust me, we noticed.
慎重に髪を巻いてた。鏡の前でチェックをしたらワクワクしながら家の扉を開ける。行ってきます。
Skipping our way
彼
over.
と話せるかもなんて淡い期待に胸を躍らせて。
店で食べてく？
持ち帰りでお願いします。
はーい。
A glimpse.
今日はいる。
Never mind. I think I'll stay.
でも厨房だ。あの日以来レジにいたことないな。
Yeah, so she always stays when he's there.
ここのケーキが好き。 温かくて食べるとなんだか心が落ち着く。
You should meet the guy who makes them. Interesting dude.
屋に通う理由はそれだけじゃない。一度だけ話したことがある金髪の店員さん。あの人とまた話したい。旦那さんがメニューを。そうそう、奥の黒い制服着てるのが旦那で、隣が私の息子。たまに手伝ってくれてるの。息子さん。そうよ、今高一。
Same age.
同い年だったの。大人びてるから。
Oh, thanks, Bob. You're hooking this up. Giving him all the information.
いや、また来ますね。
She start cluing it.
つむきくん。
She got a name in it.
名前なんて言うんだろう。病院の面会終わったらもうこんな時間。お店近くだけどどうしよう。
Leave him the what?
でも今日おしゃれしてない。
On the day that you didn't do.
もう気にしてもいい。
Yeah, he's never at the counter. It's not gonna matter.
あら、ワグリさん、いらっしゃい。こんばんは。あ、いいえ、お店で食べます。
There you go. Switch it up.
いいの？
That's right.
ほんとよく食べるわね。京子さん。
That's why she was so embarrassed. She just let it all down and started eating everything.
やっぱり好きだな、ここのお店とケーキ。なんで今日に限って可愛い服を着て
The days you least expect, the days you try
後悔した。
the least.
あなたは私と話したことがあるのを覚えてはいないようだったけど、あまりにじっと見てくるから私はもうパンク寸前で童話もう諦めようとしていた。でもやっぱりこのままになんてしたくなくて。今日はつむきさん。
Ah.
息子さんって今いますか？
Did he do something?
その人に会いに来たんです。
No. For me?
嫌なの。おごります。
I think it's great getting it from this perspective and how we've like rewound.
集中できない。やだ、私何考えてるの。私のせいでリンタロウ君に怪我させ
Just
ちゃ
being
った。
over here too, it's so good.
ダメダメ、集中しなきゃ。
The first time she opened it when they got there too early. Next door. Being over here, everything feels so backwards too. She went down the same path as you, dude. Was thinking about it all day. I will accept the proposal.
私も凛太郎くんが大好きです。
勇気を出してよかった。
So much shit changed for you in such a short span, dude.
俺には一生関係ないと思っていた世界から思いっきり手を振ってくれたあなたのことを知ることができたから。
Awesome. She's got the rabbit. Hanging out with the boys still. So much energy just to always sleep when they need you, dude. Ah. I need to see the part where the friends all find out. That's the shit I need. A brilliant closer. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. The way to end that is so just perfect to me. I was wondering, and transparency, as we were going throughout and towards the beginning, I was a little worried that there wouldn't be the buildup that it needed to feel like it impacted me or worked properly. I don't know the way to properly word and convey that to you. But as we were going, and after Winter brought this up a little bit earlier than, you would have expected, and he laid everything out there for his own feelings, I was a little worried, where does she go with this? Because if we get a response, what's left, right? But that's where it came to life. That's where everything filled out so perfectly. Let's bring you back to the beginning. We've dropped these references here and there, these little hints, like she had her eye and she's been looking out for you or looking for you a little bit more than we were, led to believe. That wasn't really the first encounter. We've been led to believe that there's some other things going on there. So waiting for that, or not waiting, but bringing that back here was so perfect to do, to properly put that in and flesh out the rest of that story, to tell it from a different perspective of, as we followed him and know exactly his own feelings, and as they've developed up to this point, now being able to see where it started from her and how that continued to go all the way through the first mini portion that we had with them getting a full reset and a full restart on introductions, who they are, and moving forward with their friendship at the time. I think that was so good. I love the different moments of getting her doing something and then recognizing it's from her perspective now, and seeing how she was and how she reacted to those moments, as well as her being crossing to the other school and being able to look over, feeling the difference of us being in that building as opposed to his, visually being able to get to see that, everything feeling backwards while we're on there because you're on the complete opposite side, so it feels so different too. It just nailed every little thing we needed to build up and contain this story into a single core that doesn't need to be prolonged more than it does. And while I'm not opposed to that, and I absolutely adore my series that do that and make things go on a little longer than they need to, we like when that stuff happens, when we get some messy drama and things like that into there. It's refreshing sometimes to not have that. It's nice to have things where if there's miscommunication, we don't let that linger for episode upon episode. We kind of work that through pretty soon afterwards. We get things kind of squared away between the two of them. It's really refreshing and nice to get a contained story of just start to finish. This is the way that we bring this relationship together. And then having plenty more likely within manga to expand that relationship, the characters that surround them. And I am curious the direction that goes. This doesn't scream to me we plan to adapt a further season. I would get it. I fully do, because it's great, right? It's absolutely great. But it doesn't scream that to me based on the conclusion that we come to in one season. And that's the risk I unfortunately fear you run as an author writing something in this genre. If you get that a little too early, that's where the fall off in the interest and viewership kind of comes from. You're going to have those people who are invested, and those are the fans of the series who are going to continue to stick around and grow and form to like the other characters, right? I know, just based off of the few comments that we got on this series, Seems to be plenty of you who are really interested in like Subaru a lot. I'm sure you guys want to watch and read more and figure out, what's going on with her story and where we're going to develop and move her forward, as well as even his friends. We get slight glimpses of them. What's the plan for that? Do we plan to do romance in any aspect with Subaru and potentially one of them? If they did, my money's on Saku. That seems the most likely because they're so similar. But if they don't plan to do that, are we getting anything involving them? Is Rentaro and Wagari going to help any of them through these troubles that they might go through with somebody else coming into the fold? Like, there's plenty of questions and things that I get excited for, and I would look forward to personally as a reader that I would want to see the story continue for. But you do know plenty who get invested in the one couple. They just can't move past that, right? That's why some people drop series when characters die. It's why some people drop series when you move to different arcs and things, because they like the atmosphere, the environment, the tension built up between things that gets kind of ruined. You lose that little bit of magic when you come to a close like this. The author's got to be good at what they do and creative. And I have no doubts this one is. But at the same time, you still do get worried. Where are you going to go from there? It's a little bit risky to do so, but welcomed once again. So I really thought that it was excellent. I think the way that we do that, his reaffirmation of his own feelings, doubling down multiple times, and actually stating, the way that he was feeling a little sorry because you put somebody on the spot, especially after having such a great day and everything together, and then you're awaiting something that potentially could go bad, and you never know how that's going to pan out, and you worry about that a little, and I absolutely do understand that. But there was never real concern because we knew we knew where she was at. Like I said many episodes ago, when they point out the fact that it's like so obvious, his own feelings towards her, all of his friends did, and he's like, "You think she knows that?" No, I don't think so. I think neither of you knew the way that the other one felt when everybody else did. But I think that's fun, and I like that, and I like how open that they were. They get flustered at the moment, but they were able to kind of work through that. They don't like panic and run off and ruin it and drag it out. It's not that type of series, and there's plenty that are like that, and some of those can be fun when those things happen. I like that we just get this the way that it is, though, and it's full form, and I think that's fantastic. I don't particularly like starting off with this. I'll keep that. I'll be honest with that. I think that's the one thing I don't like, is him starting off and doing this. I think I would have just preferred us to jump right in from where we ended the previous time, because then it becomes obvious that there's going to be something that either she proposes or he proposes for us to go here, when in return we could have built up a little bit more tension that directly drives us into like, oh shit, she's suggesting that we go and we do this, which would be really cool. But I mean, it is what it is. It didn't ruin anything. I think I would have preferred it the other way. This is great. Like, come on, dude. The smile every time, dude. Like I said, she would be difficult to be with. you'd literally want to see that over and over, and you'd have to buy so much food. You'd have to give her everything. I don't know if I could keep up with that. My wallet wouldn't be able to handle it. He gets her this, which we get to see a little later, which is cute. Of course, it's nice that he gets the little noticing moments, too, of realizing, she's walking around, the shoes probably hurt, it's probably not easy, let's take a little break, even if she says one thing, maybe you can read the situation a little bit. So, and then we let it all out there, I'm sorry to put you on the spot and do this again, but this is just how I feel, I got to do it. From the beginning, the things that you've made me feel, the reasons why I wanted to come out and say it, how all of that has evolved and brought me directly to this point. These are the reasons, And then also not leaving anything afterwards of being like, just because I said that doesn't mean that we're not technically like together. Like, there's no miscommunication or anything there. Like, I want you to, like, I want to be together. Like, that's a great way for him just to do that. And her just going right back from the beginning. The saved your life thing, I don't know if I'm fully behind. I was a little worried there. There was like some accident or something that she like jumped into. But I think it's just in terms of, she's in a rough spot and it happened to be something that dragged her out and gave her something to look forward to and bring some excitement, which is good. I think she's laying it on a little strong with the wording, but sure. She also mentioned at one point she's coming back from the hospital. I don't know if she's there visiting somebody, what's going on with their family situation and everything, potentially indicating towards why she was in the position and feelings that she was, but who knows? It's great that we get to see him being the type of person that, we always know him to be. It references exactly why she was so strongly in belief of, like, you don't know this person, I'm not going to take your word for it, when those guys were trying to pick her up in that first episode, because she could just be like, dude, I I barely know the dude, but at the same time, I know him better than you fucking do, because of, what he was willing to do for me. And I am going to appreciate that in the actions that he takes towards me instead. I thought that was great. Her building herself up and just getting everything directly from her perspective, and all things that we can notice too. That's the thing that's really good. It's not telling us something that we don't know, right? It's not saying she's getting all ready and feeling these type of ways from the beginning. We know that. We know because we recognize that every time she's showing up and having these chances and opportunities to meet him, we got to visually see that she was putting in so much more effort. Every time they went on a date or did something, her clothing was very different, right? Her hair, she always did something different with it. Subaru pointed out, hey, you're all dressed up today. What's going on here? Like, we can recognize these things, which I think is awesome. I'd love to see some of this from the mom's perspective, like picking up on like the potentially why she's always coming in, or even why when she brings that up, like the feelings that they might have for each other. I would love to hear a little bit of that. I'd also love to hear her reaction and her thoughts towards them going official here. Picking up some info. This is where she panics, but she's able to bring that back. And on the day that we least expect it, we're in a bad spot. Look who decides to just pop his fucking head and she's picking out, she's eating everything, Felt like I was gonna explode. And then just every day from then on, right? You're gonna come, I'm gonna want to start staying in. And it's a nice way to show too, like the difference of breaking up routines and things. You constantly go in and then you leave because you didn't get what you want, but instead, you stand your ground a little bit, not expecting him to pop in and just show back up. But things change when you insert yourself a little bit more into the situation, which is cool. Getting it from inside her school as well, I thought was really awesome. And then just complete parallel of what we did in the first time. When we reset everything from the second episode on, I'll gladly accept it. I reciprocate the feelings. Who would have thought, right? And just ending it there. Like, that's so good. No, we don't need more. We already know. We don't need more. Sometimes on the phone, get to see everybody hanging out and everything together. It's nice. I like it a lot. Working hard in the kitchen. Bro's always sleeping. Everybody's got some friends. Subaru hanging out with some of the girls too. It's awesome. A fantastic conclusion to this series. And now, with the 13th episode out of the way, let's talk about the show as a whole. I'm not going to have too much, I think, to really say, but we're going to just spit off the dome and see where this goes. I think, in its simplest forms, I think this series is fantastic. I think going into it, I had not an expectation or understanding of the series at all. The only thing I had known was a few years ago, I opened my anime list and I was looking for romance mangas to read. I put in some tags and used the search feature on there. And this one popped up and it had a really high rating. And I said, okay, let's read this. And then I noticed listed under it, it had an anime that was planned to come out at some point that was announced. And I said, let's not read this. Let's wait on it. Right. And then I remember doing the same thing maybe a year later. And then I did it again and I noticed, oh yeah, right, this one has an anime. And I checked and I saw Cloverworks and I said, we're really going to have to wait on this one though. We got some videos to record. We're not going to let that pass us by. Fast forward a little bit. Airs, Netflix ruins the schedule. Japan releases not necessarily over here. I said I'm going to keep up with the Japan releases. My initial plan was to watch it as it goes on the Japanese side. And then I'd be able to upload them as they go. I don't know if we would have ran into copyright issues or whatever. I don't think so, but whatever. And then English will come out. And then once English comes out, it'll be like, boom, look, I already got 9 or 10 episodes out because that's when it was supposed to come out, right? So I recorded this end of July. I was a little late on it. I think I started beginning of July. I started like end of July. And I had intended to watch it and start catching back up because I was in the mood to watch something like that, even though I told myself we weren't doing seasonals anymore. We ended up moving a little forward, find ourselves directly in December. I never uploaded the video. It was just sitting there the whole time. We had a lot of breaks in between. A bunch of stuff happened, in life, and we let that pass us by. And I said, we got to bring it back. So I finally sat down and started watching it. So the episode 1 on the channel, which I think I talk about in episode 2, was from like July. And I think all the other ones I started watching in January or end of December. It took me a while to, to get back around to it, but I'm more than pleased that we were able to. And here we are. So my initial plans of watching it that way didn't happen, but we ended up getting through it. And once again, I thought it was great. The decision to wait, specifically because 1, it looked like something that people really liked, and 2, because I saw a studio that I know can absolutely nail the genre, and I've seen them do it before with a variety of other series. I figure I could put my faith in them. I give them my all. So they did it though, and they knocked it out the park. I think visually it was absolutely stunning. It's not the best or the highest quality thing I've seen them do, but with a series like this, is that always needed? Absolutely not. I thought it's quality enough, way higher than the absolute standard that we typically get within the genre itself, and definitely worthy of the source material that it's coming from. So I appreciate them for putting in the extensive effort that they were able to with that. They made a lot of the highlight moments pop on screen, specifically with Wagari and big smiles and things that she had that brought nice highlighting and coloring directly in to those shots, which I thought really made them kind of explosive. And I really like that as well as giving us a really cool visually OP and ED, but also sonically. I really enjoyed the ED was all right for me. The OP, I really enjoyed the song. It was fun to be able to get it every episode. Didn't regret having to sit here or dread having to sit here and listen to it. I changed when I started doing the timer reactions. So now sometimes I would skip them if I didn't really like them and to like get through things a little quicker. But especially if I was going to sit here and watch multiple episodes at once, which I didn't end up having or couldn't do because of the timers. But speaking of that, this was a big one for me. And one of the things I really liked about the series is it made me want to watch more. It happened on 2 different occasions with these last 2 episodes. And I don't remember the exact episodes, but there was some early. I think it was like 3 and 4, 4 and 5, something like that, where I actually sat here and I watched like multiple. I think I watched like 2 and 3 together, and then like 3. Like I watched multiple different sequences together, which I never do for these ones that I'm recording ahead on. I never do. Like the weekly ones that we're doing here, I always just do one, go through, edit it, rewatch it, then go back and watch it. Like I never do it like this. And this was the first series in a long while that made me want to sit here. It's the first one I can recall since maybe I had like 1 or 2 episodes here or there, but that was just because I was trying to get ahead. It's the first one I can recall since maybe Evangelion or Nichijou, when I did those back in 2024, that I was like, oh, I need to sit here and watch multiple. Which I think is such a awesome thing to be able to get, because I've been struggling for a little bit now to actually sit down and like want to watch multiple episodes of something in a row. Sometimes I have a spark to do it, but for the most part, it's really hard, especially when I'm trying to record, to like mentally make me want to do that. So being able to actually be in a spot where I can was so cool for me. And I'm super happy that happened. Like today, that wasn't the plan. Today, I have other stuff to record. I could record Amagi Brilliant Park and be done for the week. I could record March Comes In Like a Lion and get ahead, make sure that we're good for next week, right? But I wanted to finish this because of the way that the last episode made me feel and how excited I was going into it. And that's such a fun feeling to have again that I rarely have been getting, which I really enjoy. And that's why that means a ton to me to be able to get. I'm super appreciative of that. Now, there's plenty of other series too. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to, I guess, praise this in a way that it's like nothing else made me feel this type of way. There's plenty of others. I was getting a similar feeling like when I'm watching things like Blue Box, where I absolutely adore Blue Box. They're entirely different in the way that they handle things, the 2 of these shows. But that first season, I absolutely adored. And every episode made me want to sit there and hope that the whole thing was out just so I could binge through it. It wasn't at the time, so we couldn't do that, right? And we had those 2 in other series like Fragrant and ReZero Season 3, right? Like there's plenty of things that I absolutely love, and I wish I could have just sat there and watched every episode in a row, but they were weekly as we were watching them, so we couldn't do it that way. So it was nice to know like this was completed, and I finally got like super excited again that I wanted to like go sit down and watch, and had the ability to for a couple different times, which I think is great. So I'm super super thrilled with that. The overall story and just telling the little cute and romance moments between Waguri and Rentaro are fantastic. I love the two of them together and their pairing, what they mean for each other, especially adding that a little bit to what we can now understand from her perspective. This episode was great, but especially for him, bringing this guy who's gloomy and depressed all the time about everything going on in his life, and he can't really bring things together, to now actually find those reasons for him to smile and to try and pass on his studies so he can spend time with his friends and find them, a meaning behind a lot of that stuff, why he feels the way that he does about a bunch of these different situations, beginning to actually open up and trust those around him that actually believe in and care for him, like express these things directly towards his family as well. Like these are big, important moments that he's finally able to take that step on and move forward. And I think like all due to her is what he throws it down to. But I think that's awesome that we were able to flip that too and show that she felt the exact same way about almost all the same sort of things that she went through at the time, and being able to like bring her spirit up and get her super excited at the general thought of even being able to catch a glimpse out of him and not even be able to speak to him, right? Like there's levels to these things that are so great, and I absolutely just loved what we had between them. She's the absolute nicest and sweetest person that you get to see on screen, and so of course you're gonna absolutely adore that. And he's such a softie as well, but he's willing to stand up for all his boys, which I think is great too. And the different moments that he has to step in front and protect them when those weird guys were stepping up that one episode as well as in the first. Like they have such a fun contrast between like what he can be and what we know him to be as well, his appearance versus what he actually is, and them feeling like they were given opportunity and given everything due to each other. It's a super sweet thing that I'm really liking, that they can continue to grow as people. They have grown an incredible amount up to this point, and really to dive into them a little bit more in terms of, Rintaro, he's got more family life, his feelings towards his parents, like even his dad outside of just baking. He's got a brother, we know. Waguri's got a brother as well and a family. He talked about being in the hospital. There's some other things kind of going on there that we'll have to learn about as another season comes around, or as you'll read more into the manga. But there's plenty there that show general interest that I'd be curious of for them, as well as a side cast that we get. The primary focus coming directly from Subaru, who's very fun to get on screen, being a similar but strong contrast to, I think, the other characters, because of how, especially towards Waguri, because that's who she's spending the majority of her time with, going through her different arc and, seeing the growth that we get and the slight steps that she's been able to take of being accepting of men in general, but also this group that is showing nothing but acceptance and open arms to try and make her feel comfortable at any moment that she's potentially timid, to extend those hands and pull her in at any point that they feel, she needs that little push as well. And being able to visually get to see those steps forward, I think for her are great, to recognize the parts of herself that she doesn't like, to recognize that she will try and grow and become somebody that she can actually like herself, similar to how Waguri says that she likes her as well. I think these are great little things that we can get that continuously we'll need to see improvement on, because she's not completed as a person or a character, right? She has more to work towards, which is where I think the manga probably heads more into the future. My only, I guess, complaint that I would have in terms of like characters is just we don't have enough in terms of Rintaro's friends. Like there's more that we didn't really get to know them outside of like some basic level stuff. And I think that's what I'd be excited to learn more about. I like the idea of larger sets of casts, which I have in a variety of the other series that, I watched and I praised in that first episode when I was saying that I was hoping that we got something along those lines here, especially ones where you work through with your friends and you can kind of trust them with your own feelings and things that you can then tell about, the way that you're feeling and have these conversations with each other about this girl or whatever's going on in your life. So being able to see small glimpses of that here was really cool. I would like to see a little bit more of that going forward, especially just maybe even alone time between certain characters and some focus on them and extending them past just being Rintaro's friend, right? And feeling like their own individual. So I think that stuff will be really cool to dive into whichever way that it actually comes in the future. And then the other thing I really loved was just the dynamic with the mom. The dad and getting to see a little bit was cool, but I don't feel like I know him or his values and all that stuff kind of enough, unless that's all there really is to him from what we saw. But being able to get that with her, seeing how, much she was trying to pull him in at the times when he was trying to hide from Augury at the early parts of the series, to other points where she then steps up and she, drags her over and then gets to hear this backstory, and we get to understand her a little bit more on the things that she kind of like, observed and went through with Rintaro as a kid and tried to, adjust to make him as comfortable as he can, give him the things that he wants, as well as change herself to be more accommodating and make him feel a little better potentially about the changes he was going through. All of that stuff, and that was fantastic, and I absolutely loved bringing them in. It's such an underutilized portion of this of anime in general, right? We just don't go into that stuff, and we pretend that they don't exist, or we pretend that they're just like kind of background like beings that don't really have a impact at all on who this person has become. That I think just needs more focus. Some of my favorite series go directly into parent relationships, and people's kind of sort of view towards it, even if it's in small sort of doses, which I think are absolutely necessary. And we get that here, which is why that 9th episode with the mom was absolutely my favorite. Like, that was the best thing, in my opinion, that we were able to get in this series so far. Couldn't be more pleased with that. And I think that it, while maybe not fully committing to all the different aspects that I like or would really want them to go into, definitely touched on them enough that there's hope that we keep going into that a little bit, and at least feeding me a little bit of it instead of just ignoring it. So I look forward to some more content potentially in the future, with friends, family, and expanding beyond the main two and just opening the world a little bit more to our other characters, as opposed to just a sole story behind these two. So that's going to be all. That's what I got. That's my general feelings. I think it's fantastic. I don't necessarily know if I have anything that I came away with thinking like I disliked or didn't like from this. So we're just going to let it rock, and we're going to move on. Next show we're watching is going to be You and I Are Polar Opposites. That's going to be here in this Wednesday slot. We're going to watch that weekly through until July, when season 2 starts airing, and then we'll be able to just transition perfectly into weekly series with that. So I look forward to that. I hope you do as well. Early access for that is now on Patreon. If that's something that you are interested in, check that out. If you like this at all, this series, any of the episodes, any of my thoughts, reactions, whatever, leave a like and comment. They really do mean a lot to me. Even if you didn't leave a comment, tell me what you think I need to do better at, or you completely disagreed with. I'm always open to criticism and engagement. I appreciate that, though. Check out the other stuff that we are watching on the channel as well, if you're interested at all. Hopefully I see you soon, or see you in the comments of one of those. If not, thank you very much once again for joining all the way through. I will be back, or still am here, for other things, so please just check those out if you are interested at all. I have been Grizz, and this has been Fragrant Flower Bones with Dignity. I hope you guys enjoyed. You have a great one.